Here are 4 reasons why apartments outperform homes in rental arbitrage, and why for the next year or two, definitely don't rent single-family homes to sublease them on sites like Airbnb. Instead, focus on apartments. Hey, my name is Richie Matthews. My wife and I have acquired 60 rental arbitrage properties, all apartments. Year 1, we acquired 18 apartments. Year 2, another 27. We had 45 properties at the end of year 2, and it happened pretty quickly. And so here's the first reason why apartments outperform single-family home. 1, scalability. How many single-family homeowners own 10 or 20 or 30 or more single-family homes? All of those homes turnkey, the owner willing to allow you to sublease all of them. And it's just just doesn't happen. So in the apartment model, it's very common for an apartment building owner to have several different properties. 1, you can scale in the same building. You can get 5 or 6 or 7 units. We have 2 buildings where we have 7 apartments. That owner actually owned properties in other parts of the market that we were interested in. So we went to him and said, hey, what about this property over here? And we wound up scaling our business laterally with the relationship of one owner. So you can scale vertically in the building, and then if the building sees the value in your relationship, then they'll scale laterally. And what I mean by that is if you're able to take properties from them sight unseen, so you get in a building, you're operating, you're doing well, then the owner has a vacancy in 6 or 7 weeks from now. They may say, hey, let's go to Richie to see if they're willing to take this so we don't have to advertise. So a lot of times we go to them and say, hey, look, we'll take that apartment that's on the ground floor across from the garbage chute or the elevator. I don't care. Now, if you're a resident, that does matter. So you may not lease that apartment. Whereas in the Airbnb model, sure, we're going to have to put a little disclaimer and explain to the guest this is where the apartment is. But from a cash flow perspective, it will do just as well in the building, especially proportional to the lower rent that you're going to get for an apartment that's a little funky like that. So scalability is one of the biggest ones. I'll give you an example. In February of 2020, we picked up our first 1-bedroom apartment. I got 4 units in there by mid-April. Then we were tapped out. We didn't want to have more units in that building. We didn't want to cannibalize our own sales. And that, I think, is a very smart way of looking at it. You just don't want to do too many units in one building. So, well, then, hey, Rich, and then how do you scale? Well, laterally. So the owner saw the value in our relationship, and he told me, hey, I got 3 more of these studios by the beach. So June, July, and August took 1, 1, and 1. I didn't scale a whole bunch at the same time. I was very skeptical about this business model. So I took 1 at a time. By mid-August, I had 7 units. He then gave me 2 more in a totally different city. By the end of August, I had 9 units in 6 months with 1 relationship, basically with 1 yes. So scalability is really amazing in the multifamily world with rental arbitrage. For us, it's all based on cash flow. So my first unit cost me $5,000. By the end of August, I had 9 units, and all of that was on the cash flow from that first. Fast forward another 6 months, I had 18 properties. We grossed $100,000 in March of 2021. All of that was built from the first unit. I didn't put another dime in after that. So scalability and cash flow is really amazing. So here's the second reason why apartments outperform single-family homes. Cost. So it costs at least 3 times the amount to furnish the house than it does an apartment. You have hallways and staircases, backyards, balconies. I mean, most of the single-family homes that Airbnb have a decked-out garage, right? I have a game room and things like that. You just don't want to spend all that money in someone else's asset. So for that reason, I furnish for $8 per square foot in my apartments. An 800 square foot apartment, 900 square foot apartment, 1,000 square foot apartment, we're going to be under $8,000. And so it's just unheard of to furnish that way in a single family home. The third one is a big one, rent concessions. I have always gotten at least 4 weeks free rent up front and a low deposit. That's the fuel that allowed me to scale on cash flow. Without rent concessions, I just didn't have enough capital to deploy. It was been too risky for me. So I required first month's rent free. And there are certain market conditions and certain markets where their owners are more willing to do that. One is recession and inflation. Vacancies track that. So we're seeing a lot of vacancies right now. So you go to a building owner and you say, hey, I'm willing to take 5 units from you over the next several months. I'm going to start with 1, but I'm going to need a low deposit, first month's rent free. Single family homeowners won't do that. Right. So they don't see the value in that. right? And so if the other side sees the value in what you're doing, the deal will reflect that. In life and in business, there has to be a mutual benefit. There isn't a mutual benefit. It's lopsided if you're focused on single family homes, because oftentimes the owner will be like, well, wait a minute, why can't I do this? Why can't I stick furniture in my property? If this guy did all the homework, obviously there must be a business to it. I may be an operator. And a single family home, being an operator is not a difficult thing. Whereas in the apartment model, they don't want to be. The owners do not want to be an operator, right? That's a totally different business model, right? They want to be the owner. They want to get a tenant paying down their debt, tax benefits, amortizations. Cash flow is usually lowest on the totem pole of priorities, whereas in our business model, cash flow is everything. So apartments and rent concessions is everything. And here's the biggest one. And here's why right now is a terrible time to be a single family home rental arbitrage operator. Now, single family homes is great if you own them. You have all the benefits I just mentioned. You have tax benefits and you use your properties perhaps and that sort of thing. You get tax benefits and you get your tenant paying down your debt. But with single family homes, they're very susceptible to economic downturns. And we're seeing that right now. So if you rely on cash flow, the first priority of doing a rental arbitrage, and you're starting to see your single traveler, middle-class travelers coming for vacation, you're seeing them pull back, then you're in trouble. We're seeing that right now. And we're seeing that all over the place. So if you hear people on the internet talking about rental arbitraging single family homes, be wary, to say the least. To furnish a single family home is $20,000, $30,000, whereas an apartment it's $6,000 to $8,000. You get that money back quicker. You get rent concessions, and you're in markets. And here's a big one where there's work travel, leisure travel, and business travel. Business travel, people staying for a few days at a time, like a vacation traveler, but they're coming for independent reasons. So if there's an economic downturn, those travelers may continue. The other one is work travel, nurses, engineers, teachers, professors on sabbatical. You have people coming for periods of time that are there for work reasons. You even have insurance relocation, people who have floods and fires. We get them all the time in our properties. So work travel is midterm rental travel, business travel, and leisure travel. And in the leisure travel market, make sure that your market has at least 3 seasons of the full where people are coming to that market. So it's not a strictly vacation only market. So those are the 4 principal reasons why apartments trump single family homes, and how I was able to scale to 60 rental arbitrage properties, all apartments. And we did that pretty quickly. In the first 24 months, I knew nothing about this business. We had 45 properties. I mean, that was a remarkable ability to scale, and it was all because we had a handful of relationships. I got rent concessions from them all. I operated in a market that have work, business, and leisure, and I was able to scale pretty quickly. So I'm sharing my 4 steps, the 4-step framework that's enabled me to scale to 60 properties, generate $6 million on Airbnb, host 10,000 reservations, and still a super host on a webinar on Tuesday at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time. It will be on Zoom. The link is below. Join the webinar. It's completely free. See you then.